control, right? When everything burns around and it leaves you with nothing but just exhaustion and ash. So that's a very great analogy to sort of figure out what stress is and when that leads to burnout, right? Very closely related, but vastly very different. So that is about burnout and stress. So next we have a sort of icebreaker, little checkpoint where we'll see all of you. Are you in the point of actually being completely burned out, or you're not? So that Aditi and all of us will be sort of taking it forward. Okay, it's a fun little activity. Let's do it.
All right, so guys, very simple here. These are, certain things that you experience if you are going through a burnout. Okay, and this will be a fun checkpoint for yourself as well. Okay, to check where you are in terms of experiencing a burnout. So we're going to read out the points one by one. Listen to it carefully, and if you are experiencing it, give yourself 1 point. Okay, you don't have to tell us which ones you're marking for, but at the end of this, we are going to look at what your score is. All right. For example, uh, are you feeling drained? If you are feeling drained, give yourself a point. Take a pen or a pencil or your calculator if you're a digital person and start marking. And I think the psychologist will do that too, right? So, the first question, guys, for you all, how would you rate your, or more importantly, are you feeling drained today? If yes, please give yourself a point. Done? Are we done? Okay. Do you find it difficult to get started on tasks that you used to enjoy? Meaning that you probably enjoyed these tasks a lot, but now you find it more and more difficult to get started on these same tasks. If yes, add another +1. Next. Is work constantly on your mind, even when you're not working? Are you cooking dinner and thinking about, the latest spreadsheet that you were on? Has your boss appeared in your dreams yet? Have you woken up from sleep thinking you have a pending task? Do you hear phantom ringtones when your phone is not ringing? Do you hear the Teams call? If yes, give yourself a point. Take it ahead, Vidhi.
All right. So the next is, do you notice any sort of increase in, frustration, sadness, or irritability? You're snapping out quite often. You're just, in the corner, being a bit more sad or just frustrated about a lot of minuscule things. So if you have noticed any of these feelings a bit more than before, give yourself 1 point. If not, then it's a zero. All right. So if you've no given yourself a point or regardless a zero, the next is, have you been experiencing any physical symptoms? It could be headaches, it could be any sort of muscle spasms, it could be stomach ache, just sprung up suddenly out of the moment and very frequently, right? If you've noticed any physical ailments, you give yourself a point. Now, it does not have to be just these, but any physical ailment works. If yes, a point. If no, then zero. The next is, if you've also finished that, the next is, do you purposely engage in avoiding social interactions, right? Or you just feel little bit disconnected from your, peers, your colleagues, etc. So just any sort of social disconnection, if you have experienced lately, give yourself a point. And if not, as usual, zero. Yeah, Aditi, I think you can take the last three ahead here.
Yes. So if you have started to feel indifferent about your work, you can give yourself a point here where you feel like, okay, you know what? It does not make me happy. Completing tasks does not make me happy. Or there are more tasks, then also it does not bother me. So if you feel like it is just not making any sense to you anymore, or not just making you feel numb, right? So give yourself a point here. Okay, next we have, do you find it increasingly difficult to communicate with your coworker at your workplace? Do you feel like, okay, I just don't want to deal with this person today, or I just would like to sit and finish my work and just go back home? So is it getting difficult for you to just have conversations with your colleagues? So if that is the case, give yourself a point. Okay, and the last one, do you feel like you're not able to perform well or experiencing any self doubt about the quality of your work? If you feel like no matter what you do, your performance is just not up to the mark, or do you feel like, okay, you could have done better and your performance is not, just great? Also, the quality of your work. If you feel like, okay, you know what, this seems very mediocre, and people are not liking it, and you were not like this before, then give yourself a point.
Are you experiencing self doubt a lot? Okay. All right, perfect. So, guys, what you've seen here is some of the most common markers, okay, of a burnout. Now, if you have a score below 2, right, it means you're doing okay. You're able to practice your work-life balance. You're able to, have some sort of semblance about what is work and what is life. If you have a score between 3 to 5, it means that, you're on the way. You are stressful, but you're still coping, actively coping. Some days are more difficult than others, but you are coping.
Mm.
If you have a score of 5 and above, it means that you are really, really stressed, right? And you need to take a well balanced step backwards and practice some of the things that we're going to teach you today. Now, just to have a little bit of fun and see if we are all in the same boat, I would request all of you to, put down your scores. You don't have to tell us which ones you marked, just your score. Is it a 2? Is it a 3? Is it a 5? Is it a 7? Is it a 9? I'm going to start by putting my score in first. 1. Wonderful. Gauri Shankar is doing well.
Yeah.
Be happy to see that, Gauri Shankar. Vidatri is at a 3.
Yeah. 3.
Aparna
Okay.
says 3. Aditi says 5.
Aditi says 5.
It's a 5 today.
Better for Aditi.
Okay.
Okay.
Jashi's at a 2. That's good.
Very nice. Very nice. Anybody else who would like to share?
हेलो मैडम.
Hello, sir. Please tell us.
Hello.
कहाँ
Hello,
से हो?
Sam.
सर हम लोग बैंगलोर से हैं. आप कहाँ से हो?
मैं हैदराबाद में मैडम जॉब करता हूँ बिस्किट कंपनी में.
Okay, sir.
Okay.
I hope this
और
session.
आप क्या करती हो?
Sir, we are all psychologists from your B2B partner, Circle Health.
ओह ओह थैंक्स. ओके.
Okay. All right. So we have a 6, we have a 5, we have a 8 as well.
8 as well.
8
Okay.
is pretty high number. 5 and 6 are high numbers as well.
Right.
Right. So I think what we're seeing here is a mixed bag. Right.
Hmm.
People who are able to, have work-life balance, understand their stressors, deal with it. But we also have people who may not be able to manage as well.
Hmm.
Right? Even for those of us who are doing well, this
Hmm.
session would be very useful in terms of, you recognizing when you need to take a step back.
Hmm.
And even more useful for the ones who are actively experiencing a burnout, right? So along with this, since we have, given you a basic idea about what a burnout looks like, do you guys have any questions before we dive deep into the activities that will help you? Any questions at all? Any doubts at all up until now?
You can put it up in the chat as well. That also works.
Yeah.
Chat, unmuting yourselves as it goes, or just note it down too.
Whatever is comfortable for you exactly. Okay, and if you don't have questions right away, you can always put them in the chat box throughout the session. We will have another Q&A session at the very end where we take up any and all questions.
Right.
So if we do not have any questions right now,
I have a question.
yes.
So I would like to ask, like now we understood how to know whether we are burned out. How about our team member or a colleague? How to understand whether they are burned out?
Understood. So there are various things that you could do here. Is this Jayashree? Am I talking to Jayashree?
Yes.
Okay. Hi, Jayashree. So Jayashree, of course, one thing is, as as somebody who wants to support their team, right? The very first thing that you could do is, one, when we do share all of this information, you could use the markers there, get a printout, circulate it, have a day once in a week where everybody sits down for a group meet. And that is something that we will take up even later. Why group time is important, where you're not talking about work, right? So in one of those sessions, you could, pass it around, see if everybody is up to it, see if they want to take it, or if that is something you do not want to officially do it like that, you can also have ask these questions on one-on-one conversations with them, right? And the best thing you can do if you figure out that somebody is going through a burnout is refer them to an actual psychologist, any one of us, right? So since we are partners over here, if you feel that somebody needs a little help, you could, one, notify your own care manager, anybody from Circle Health, with the name of the employee, and we will reach out to them, do our bit. But from your bit, you can definitely screen them and guide them to the next steps. And in fact, the activities that we're going to do here today, right, you could also help share those with them. You pick up anytime,
Hmm.
right? Even on a one-on-one basis, on a weekly catch up.
Hi, good afternoon, ma'am.
Hi,
This
good
is
afternoon.
Mayank Namdev from Raipur.
Mhm.
My question is that how to create a value, how to build a culture of well-being in workplace.
Okay, that's a question that will be
Uh,
taken up in an entirely different session, like how to build a
uh,
culture in the workplace. A culture
mm,
is built, I believe, by the people who are there,
Hmm.
specifically by people who are in roles where they're responsible for the well-being of other people, right? So it is something that comes with practice. Over here in my office where we work, we have this culture of socializing. We come to the office sometimes just to socialize, just to have lunches together, just to talk about how we're doing. So that is made by the people, and it is also something, sir, if you would like later on, we will definitely be happy to host another workshop, depending exactly on the specific. Okay. But for today's session, sir, that is out of our scope. Right? I hope that is okay.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am, for answering my query
No
and question.
problem at all. All right. So let's get right ahead with our session. Okay. And we are going to dive into the things that we can do starting from the workplace, right? Things that will help us achieve some semblance of a balance between our
Hmm.
work and between our mental peace. Okay. So at the workplace, what are some of the things that really gets to you? You could put it in the chat box. You can unmute and talk. I love how this group is particularly chatty. Okay. So some of the things that bother me sometimes at my workplace is when there are very, very frequent follow-ups, right? You've been given some work and the follow-ups just keep on piling, like tell me, tell me, tell me. So that sort of, management at a micro level, that sometimes makes me feel burnt out, right? So different things could make you feel burnt out as well. Emails, deadlines. So the initial joy and the excitement, right, when you join a job, those are the things that get impacted. But don't worry, we will now teach you a couple of things, starting from organization to your own bodily relaxation to mindfulness, that will help you combat all of these things. Right. So Vidhi is going to walk us through the first activity, or I believe Aditi.
Aditi, right, Aditi.
Yes.
Yeah.
Aditi, please go ahead. Tell us what we should do.
Okay, so the first activity that we'll be taking up is personal boundaries mapping. Now, why this is important, it's going to just immensely help you with maintaining your work life balance, because currently there are lines between your personal life and work that are sort of blurry, right? So, we are going to take a moment here and draw an entire map of your daily routine and just distinguish where your work is at, where your personal life is at, and self care. Most importantly, do you have time for self care? And are the lines not clear to you? Are there no boundaries between them? Are you attending your work calls and when you get home, you're again working? So, if there is no boundary there, That is something that we're going to tackle here. So let's just take out our materials, your paper, pen. If you have different colors available, then mostly that, then yes, we can get started. So, firstly, just write down a timeline of when you wake up and till the time that you go to sleep. So, suppose 7 a.m. you wake up, 7 to 8 you freshen up, then 8 to 9 is your breakfast, then 9 to 10 you probably do some other activity, then 10 to 8 you come back home. So just write down a simple daily timeline that you follow. I mean, it does not have to be the weekend, but mostly take the days where you're working. So you can take a minute or two to just have this outline. And once it's done, you can maybe give a thumbs up or just put it in the chat box so that we can proceed further.
Okay.
Just a general idea.
Yeah, so I hope the instructions are clear for everybody. They're very simple. From the time you wake up till the time you go to bed, what are the things you do and what time do you do them, right? The idea is to be mindful and see if your personal and your work time is overlapping. And if yes, we'll help you clear that out. Okay. Focus on how many hours or which are the hours in your day you take for personal time. That is for eating, taking a nap, or maybe cooking something or spending time with your loved one. Focus on those time frames. Also focus on the time frames where you are actively working, that is in front of a laptop or a screen, and when you're not actively working, that is sitting down on the couch to watch a movie but still looking at a spreadsheet on your phone, right? So what are those areas? Can you identify any overlap? When you overlap, the sensation of burnout just increases because you're not really taking a break, because you're not really allowing yourself distinct, time divisions. In fact, over here, I'd just like to share a story. I have a client of mine who recently shared something very beautiful. He said he does his days in 8 hour slots, 8 hours of nidra, sleep, 8 hours of karma, all of his work, and 8 hours of personal time and other self-care activities and socialization. So that is also something very similar to personal boundaries mapping.
Right.
Right? Go ahead, Aditi. Please check with your audience if they're ready with their time.
Yes, is everyone ready with your general timeline of how your day looks like? If yes, I would like everybody to have your colors ready, preferably 3. But yes, otherwise you can just make use of shapes. You can circle it or make a star or a rectangle or anything that suits you. So whatever your work is, try to for your work. Then you can go on and highlight your personal time or your self-care time. Lastly, once you're done with it, see where the overlap is happening. Where are the areas where the overlap is happening? So either you will have 2 shapes that are there or you'll have 2 colors over it. So take some time, sort out, see if there are times where the overlap is happening, not happening. During your work hours, are you able to utilize the time there, or is there work getting carried forwarded, or are there boundaries not established where you get work calls or there are meetings scheduled? So those are the areas which are basically your overlapping areas, and you will have 2 different colors, or you will have a separate color assigned for it, or you'll have 2 different shapes, people who do not have different colors.
Okay, so can I go
All
ahead and share?
right, once that is done, what we'll be doing is, yes.
Okay. So for me, I think the most overlapping areas are breakfast and work, and then again lunch and work. So that's there. If anybody else wants to share where they're overlapping, please put it in the chat box. Please go ahead.
I think for me, can I share?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
Yes, yes.
my overlapping areas are work and the coffee break I take. And it's so essential for me to take a coffee break, but I think it's a very overlapping area, and my coffee break keeps getting pushed to, like, say, almost dinner time, which is, I know, very unhealthy, but yeah. So this is one overlapping area that I've seen.
I see that, we're compromising on our food here and putting work forward. And I feel like I personally also do that, where either skipping meals is happening or you don't realize how the time just goes by. So, yes. Is there anyone else who has any other overlapping areas?
You can put it on the chat as well, which are the two broad areas or two, three broad areas that you mentioned that could be overlapping, right? If talking over it becomes too much. So that also works out.
Yes, that could work too. And yes, once we are done with that, what we are going to, oh, WhatsApp. Do you have a time for WhatsApp? Or
Aditya is
are
saying
you
he keeps
talking about? Okay, okay. So I thought that, you try to
it was
chat with your friends and there's work WhatsApp working simultaneously.
okay. All right, Aditya, let's go ahead with the next steps.
Yes. So after we are done with that, what we're going to do is that we're just going to write down potential strategies that we can establish to have clearer boundaries so that this overlap does not happen, right? And also by setting a specific working hour where you know that after this point you will not be taking any more work, or maybe doing what is essential to you, and before sleeping you can just follow up or see, just having like a routine checkup where you just go over your work and deal with it all at one time, right? And also, you once you have set these strategies, you will be implementing them one by one. You don't have to implement all of them together. Just write down the one strategy that you feel is the most problematic right now and that is impacting your work life balance greatly. So that's how we are going to go about it. And you can take your time to come up with strategies. You don't have to do it right now because I know that it can take some time and you will also have to make some changes in your schedule. So, yes, take your time, think about it, and come up with those strategies.
Okay. Thank you, Aditi. So, what we're taking away from personal boundaries is take a look at your day, right? Divide your time and see where you're overlapping. Okay. Swapnali says my personal care and work.
Work.
So, her time is probably getting crunched between those two activities. So, what you do
Yes.
is one of the easiest strategies to have a buffer time. Don't say till I'm working till 4:30 and starting self-care till from 4:30. Have a buffer time of at least 15 minutes. Make sure that your timings are separate. Okay, and that you have a little bit of time in between to review what you have just done and what you are going to do next. You can do this weekly review for yourself and see where your boundaries are overlapping and then gently separate them again. Okay. All
Okay. Thank
right.
you.
Thank you. Thank you. Let's move on.
All right. So until now, we discussed about how to set the entire day and create a mapping for that. And based on that, separate your boundaries, right? In terms of the entire day. Now, this is purely focused on your work, right? And sadly, work takes a lot of our time. A large part of our contribution of burnout is through work, right? So imagine now, let's say someone just comes up and gives you a magic wand to sort of redesign what your ideal work week would look like, right? Irrespective of what your colleagues bickering, irrespective of your boss being over your head, everything, just put those in the back seat, and what you feel that your ideal sunshine and rainbow sort of work week would look like, right? So that is what the whole idea is here, where you design your own ideal work week to sort of combat the burnout, right? And how does this help? So you create a template, and we'll be also sharing the template right at the slide as well, right? So a template is given from Monday to Friday. For this session, we'll be going to only focus on the next working day, but you can obviously take it forward and focus on all days of the week, right? So we'll be jumping into all our thinking hats and brainstorming what your ideal work week looks like for you. So if you want to add in more mental health breaks, go for it. If you want to add in more remote working days, go for it. If you want to add in more early hours, I just need to leave a bit early than my 9 to 5 routine, go for it. It's up to you. You're the creator. You can do whatever you want in this ideal work day of yours. All right. So, as usual, we're going to grab our pens, paper, or any note taking app if you're comfortable to write it down more digitally, and take a moment to jot down your working day, the next day you're working. So, for any of the sad souls like us, if you're working tomorrow on Saturday, mention Saturday. If you're working on Monday, then good for you, mention Monday. All right. So, the next working day of the week, you write that down. And next to it, you note down from a time based basis, like 9 to 10, 10 to 11, 11 to 12, or as you're flexible with, an ideal working activity that you would want to do, right? So, for example, just giving in, if 9 to 10 I come in and take a breather and just note down my task, my ideal working week would be something different than I do usually, right? So, I note that down next to the day. So, that is ideally how you design your work week. Aditya, if you could change it to the next slide so that they can also see the template. If you can zoom in the template, right? So yeah, while Aditya is zooming in the template, you basically just note down the day and an ideal activity that you would like to do on that day. All right.
Okay.
So let's start.
So just a small thing over here. I think we're not able to zoom in to the sheet, feedback sheet here. What we will instead do is we will email it to you if you're interested. Put down your email IDs, starting from now, and we will send you this worksheet.
Right.
Okay.
That also works. All right. So anything, right? If you want to have more fun and games in your life and not just be dreaded with emails, follow-ups, meetings, you can add that. If you want a day where you're not working at all, I hope no HR is there, but if you want a day where you're not working at all, you can just write that down as well. So I'm just saying it's your own.
Yeah, plan your sick leaves. And
Yeah,
when we say
your
sick
own
leave,
ideal day.
yeah, we have this beautiful thing over here in our company where we tell our manager that we need a mental health break. Okay, a day where we are just not up to work. We are not physically sick, there is no physical symptom, but it's still a break that we would like for ourselves, right? If your company is a company that allows you to take mental health breaks, well and good. If not, please take a sick leave and enjoy your day. Okay, so the idea is that when you make this, right, when you sort of are making your work day, mine looks like this so that I can tell you:
Hmm.
breakfast, work, lunch, work, housework, and then dinner.
Hmm.
The idea is in between this, find out the 30-minute, find out a 1 hour in between where you do something for yourself.
Right.
Catch
Yeah.
up on series, take a drink of water, go for a small walk, right? Call up a friend, call up a family member. If there are other things you enjoy doing, for example, taking a small nap, okay, plan that nap out as well, because it's very important for people. There are people who can work at a stretch, there are people who work even better if they have been able to take a small nap,
Right.
right? So the idea is to plan out your breaks during your work day. You are not only organizing your work day, you are also organizing where you take breaks. Now I hope that people have written down something. Can I please know what are the break points that you have given for yourself? You can put it down in the chat box. What are some of the breaks that you have incorporated for next Monday? And I hope to see at least one break in your workday that this is a half an hour or 15-minute time slot I'm taking for myself. I have a slot. I'm working this Sunday, by the way, guys. Okay, so I have a slot where it says 2:30 to 3 p.m. lunchtime nap. So I'm taking a post lunch nap this Sunday. That is my plan. What are your plans, guys?
So Swapnali and Mr. Kant, right? Both of you had to put up your emails as well. So I'm pretty sure you're very keen on getting the templates. If you can say what your breaks are that you've not been actually practicing, but you would want your ideal day to look like. Right. So I'm working tomorrow, and for the first thing I wake up in the morning, I'm not a very positive person, but the first thing I want to wake up in the morning is start my day with a positive affirmation for myself, which I've never done all this while, but I want to do that. So that is something that's a break point I'm taking, and then start off with work, and then maybe around the afternoon take a mid afternoon walk as well. These are a few things I haven't been doing, but I would want to do. So, any of you, if you would like to share some breakpoints that you haven't been practicing, but you really are keen of practicing as well, and you would want it to be present in your working day.
Okay. So if we're sharing, then good. If you're not sharing and you want to take some time to actually plan this out, that's fine as
Yeah,
well.
that's also okay.
Another option that you have is, once you receive this, once you fill this in and you want to have a discussion with one of us, please go ahead and book a session and we'll do a detailed discussion with you.
Right.
Okay, so if there are no inputs for the time being, I want to conclude that the work week tracker has two purposes. One, plan out and organize your day. Second, plan out and organize the tiny spots of breaks as well. Okay, all right, perfect. Let's move on to the next activity.
Right. I'll be also doing this. So the first two activities where could seem a bit heavy, where you're gathering your materials, writing materials, and sort of brainstorming yourself into your day and your work days, how it should look like. A lot of cognition happening there. So we'll come to a break point, a checkpoint where we just focus on our body, right? So we're gonna practice the body scan. Now, this is a very short 5-minute body scan. It gets lengthier as well, but for the sake of the session, we're going to keep it very short and practice it for 5 minutes. Of course, if any of you feel that it could be helpful and useful for you, we can obviously send you scripts, or you can book a session with any of us separately to practice it in a more lengthier space, right? So why essentially a body scan is necessary in this situation? Now, body scan is pretty universal. You use it for stress, compassion, you use it for burnout, you use it for a lot of overwhelming feelings. So it helps you combat that burnout on the spot and brings your focus on the present moment. So all your senses, all your physical sensations are grounded to one particular stop. Because during a burnout, you're going through so much exhaustion, there's a haywire of your senses, right? So it helps you identify major areas of tension throughout your body and the tightness that you notice, and it puts it in one particular spot, basically grounding you. So we're going to take a quick break to connect with our bodies and release some built up tension that we may have been facing that we had no clue about until now. All right. So let's get comfortable. All right. Close your eyes if you feel like it, or simply just soften your gaze. Over the next few minutes, we'll be slowly traveling from our toes, the down part of our body, to our head. All right, we're going to take it slow, one by one. Focus on only the physical sensations throughout our body. Right? Your job here is only to observe these sensations. You do not need to change anything. Just notice the physical tension that your body parts hold. Right? So let's sit back, close your eyes, or just soften your gaze. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Keep breathing in and breathing out. Notice your feet first. All the feelings that's built up in your feet, including your ankle, your toes, your heels, your sole, and the top of the foot. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Feel the sensation of the ground. If you're wearing shoes, slippers, notice how the texture feels within your feet or any other surface of the ground that you can detect. Your aim here is only to notice these feelings and sensations. And if you feel a spiraling back out of these feelings, Position and bring yourself back again. And keep noticing as you travel up in your body, from your feet, the ankle, your calves, to slowly your hips and your backside, the waist and the hips. Breathe in, breathe out. You can also at this point visualize things. You can visualize a happy memory. You can visualize something that was very positive that you experienced today, but just keep feeling it. Do not act upon it. So continue moving yourself up towards your body, taking notes of the feelings that you felt in your hips and your back and your waist. Do not change them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Notice how your body feels against the surface you're sitting in, either when you're lying down or sitting in. Notice the texture of the chair, notice the texture of the bed or the floor. Just feel the texture within it brushing your body. For a few moments, at this point, you can also pay attention to your breath, the in and the out. Notice how your waist and your abdomen rises when you're breathing in deeply and falls when you're exhaling it out. Now, as we are traveling up and up from our body, experience the sensation in your upper back and your chest. At this point, also notice the feeling of your cloth. Is it soft? Is it warm? Is it creating a tingling sensation? How does it feel when it's brushing against your body? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now, as we are traveling up from our body, we also now notice the feelings that you experience with your hands, fingers, and your wrist. Again, here, notice how the sensation feels when you're holding on to something. That is, if you're holding on to something. Notice how each of your fingers are feeling when you're laying it on the surface of either your table or wherever you're sitting. Notice the sensation in your forearms, upper arms, and your shoulders. Again, here, take a few moments of your time to experience the breathing. Pay attention to each and every breath that you take, as well as also focus on the sensations and the tensions coming in from your hand region. As we rise above, we're going to now focus our feelings on our neck and our throat. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Notice how the feelings from the neck and the hand goes up to your face and your head. Attend to each and every feature in your face. Notice how the brush of air feels on your face, how you're hearing any additional external sounds in the environment and how that's making you feel. The point here is only to feel them, but not to judge them or go back to it. It's just here to feel and be present with those sensations. Deep breaths in and out. Finally, slowly scan your entire body, noticing all the sensations from your toes and traveling back again to your head. Notice where you felt any emotions, any particular tensions attached to a particular body part. Feel it all. 1, 2, 3, 4. Body scan exercise is coming to a close now. Once you've felt your entire body scanning, at your own pace, allow your eyes to open. Alright. You can take a moment for yourself, position yourself to the same place, ground yourself in reality again. And yes, so first thing, definitely after taking a break, I want to ask you is how did it make you feel? It can be anything.
A very deep relaxation. Like as you
So,
walked us through the body parts, right? I became aware of sensations and I realized they have been here the entire day. I was just not present.
right, right, exactly. And that's what body scan does. So sometimes unconsciously, because things are happening so unconsciously within ourselves, we don't realize the tensions that is being sprouted to different areas of our body. But once you keep doing this, practicing it on an everyday or an alternative daily run, you start noticing these tension pieces attached to your body. If anyone else, okay, so Nali said, I feel my body, just feel positive. Thank you. All right. Aditya said, feels more present. Right. I'm glad that, it is making all of you feel present. Obviously, that does not mean negative feelings don't come in. It does. But the whole point is to ground yourself and position itself again back, right? Our whole point is to be there at the present instead of focusing on those feelings, right? And were there any body parts that, made you draw more attention than the others?
Yes, I felt heat in my ankles. Could be the fact that I'm in the office today and I've done a lot of running around.
Right.
This
Good.
is the moment they decided to speak to me.
Right. Could be right. So that's also one thing. You notice certain areas might be a bit more effective than the other areas, right? Anyone else? It's okay if it's okay to not mention it now. I know it takes a lot of time as well to actually understand and self-reflect on where these pointers were. Always go back to it, and then you can see where these might have helped, where you might have noticed this present. And we'll also, if you're interested, we can also send you a body scan script so you can also practice it in your individual space and time as well in a more lengthier way. All right. So the whole purpose of body scan, I know it was pretty short, but the whole purpose of the body scan is just to make you understand that anytime you feel overwhelmed, burnt out, stressed out, any of these emotions, always focus yourself to grounding back to the present moment. Right?
All right. Thank you so much, Vidhi. Okay, so now that we have done a very mindful check-in with ourselves. Okay, let us now look at something that we can do physically for ourselves. And this is something that we call desk yoga. These are stretches that will, help you if you're sitting down for a long time. It will also help you come back to a state of equilibrium. And Aditi is going to walk us through these stretches.
Okay, thank you. So desk yoga, basically, why we are going to do this is because we keep sitting for long hours, right? We're so engrossed into our laptops that, you're almost going to get into it. So it's going to help you in releasing all the strain and tension that is just accumulated in your body. These stretches are just so that those tension and strains could be removed from your body through these physical exercises and stretches, right? So we'll be going through a series of stretches. We're not going to do anything which is standing based. We'll do it sitting based so that this is something more useful for you on your day-to-day basis, right? So the very first one that I want everybody to do is, if you're sitting on a chair, just grab the backside of the chair and twist and stay there for a good 5 seconds. So everybody, let's just get into it right away without wasting any time. Just grab the backside of your chair and twist, and let's stay there for 5 seconds. All right. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So you release. I'm pretty sure there was a burning sensation when you twisted around. The same thing we're going to be doing towards the other side now. So the next side, twist, and let's hold the position. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay. So anything that was stored near your belly region, or near your pelvic area, your abdomen, that basically just helped all of that to burn, and just the tension was just released. If there were any knots in your body, those were just released. Now the same thing we're going to do with our necks, right? So you're going to take your right hand, support it, put it over your head, and then stretch. Hold it for 5 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. You can release. Take the next hand, put it over your head. Same thing again, stretch and hold it. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay. So your neck is, so basically you don't sit straight when you're working. So you tend to get into a very slouching position. And this is something where your neck stretches and it gives that muscle, there are knots formed when we sit in a position which is not ideal. And that is exactly what we do when we are working, right? It could be your normal, you could have the best chair in the world, but in the end, your position is what matters. And yes, now we're going to do the very last thing, which is stretching your arms and hands, since you're busy typing, right? So this is where we stretch our arms and hands. You take your hands, interlock them, twist it around and stretch. Yes, the same thing. Bend towards your right side and hold it. 1, 2, 3, 4, and don't let go of the position. Now just stretch towards your left side and hold the position. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now just bring your hands down slowly and then open the interlock position. Yes. So these were a very few quick 3 exercises that you can always do at your desk, which is going to help you tackle your neck, your abdomen area, your hands, fingers, everything. So I would like to know how everybody is feeling after stretching.
A little lighter, definitely a little lighter.
Yeah. I mean, it feels like I haven't moved my body much, and then so this helped me.
Yes. Did you guys? Yes. Not it because of our position. And when we do these stretches, I mean, you could do this once every 2 hours if you're sitting at a stretch. And yes, is there anybody else who was sitting the entire day and finally did these stretches and is feeling better today?
How
You
about
guys
you,
can
Swapna?
chat box. Sorry.
Swapnali.
Yeah, Swapnali. Swapnali, how do you feel?
Swapnali is very religiously answering. So
Right.
go for it, Swapnali. You can put up a text too.
Yes. I think she's typing. Oh yeah.
Not gonna
Oh,
share it. No worries, no
that's
worries.
okay. You can always try this out. I'm pretty sure everybody was paying attention. So yes, we can follow this anytime and we'll be sharing this with you. So, oh, okay. Yes, you can definitely try it out. If you ever have any doubts, you can just ping any of us and ask us for any directions.
Okay. All right, perfect. So let's move on to the last two, activities that you can do for yourself. This one is called time boxing. Okay, let me take this up for you. So up until now, you have seen how you can, manage your entire day. Then we moved on to how you manage your work day, right? Now, in this activity, we are going to manage your most important tasks. Time boxing is nothing but prioritizing your most important things. While you have drawn a chart, you may have drawn diagrams, you may have made a list. On top of your list, make 3 visible boxes. Okay. And in these three visible boxes, write down the three most important things you need to do next Monday. The idea is when you prioritize your tasks, okay, you're able to finish them faster. The smaller tasks seem more doable, they take up less time. Otherwise, if you put the harder task for the end, you might feel more burnt out, right? Because such a huge task is still waiting for you at the end of the day. So instead of doing that, we are going to take up the three most important tasks for Monday, put them visible where we can see them in front of our desk, and we will finish them first. That's the idea. Take your pen and your pencil or whatever you have. We have a couple of people with us now. So go ahead and write down the three most important things you want to do next Monday. Let's take 1 minute to get this done. I am in one of the rooms in the office and I'm just noting things down right in front of me. Not just me, my entire office will be able to see my three most important tasks for Monday. Okay, so go ahead, guys. Write down what is the three most important things you want to do. Could be anything. Could be your personal work. Could be your office work. Could be, a deadline that you may have been missing for a while. It will also help you put things into perspective. What is more important for you? I am ready to share. Can I go ahead and share?
Yes.
Okay, so the three most important tasks that I have put down, one for work, I have mentioned that I am going to get at least 10 health plans completed by Monday. Okay, that is the most important thing. Secondly, I have been neglecting my hair and I'm going to get a hair oil massage. Okay, that is personal and self care. Third, I have also been neglecting my family. So, and they have requested pav bhaji for the last 2 weeks. So, I am going to go and make pav bhaji for them at least by Monday. So I have put down one thing important for me at work, one thing important for me personally, and one thing important for me socially with my family. So what about you guys? What have you put down in your important tasks? Would anybody like to share? No worries. If there is nothing to be shared, we can move on to the next, activity. And anyway, we'll be sharing this with you. You can pick it up anytime you want.
You can always carry it forward as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So this last thing that we do is called an appreciation circle. In fact, when Jayashree had asked, how do I do this for my people at work? It shows you truly care, which is wonderful. So what you do is appreciation circle is a point where you take out some time for your team, your colleagues, or the people, your immediate team members. Sit with them in a circle, in a table, out for coffee, and you share something that you really appreciate about them. It could be them helping you out. It could be them packing an extra lunch for you on a day when you didn't have time to make lunch. It could be them covering a bit of important work. It could even be them saving you when you've done something wrong. Right? So, what happens when we sit down and we voice out our appreciations out loud? It gives us a lot of satisfaction about the work that we do. Right? Small things like this can contribute to us feeling better about our work and reducing the sense of burnout. Okay, so let's go right ahead. Vidhi, Aditi, and I will demonstrate it for you so that you can see how to take this forward. Vidhi, why don't you share one thing you appreciate about Aditi?
Okay. So one thing I appreciate about Aditi is that she's always, whenever we go to office, so we have a hybrid model. So whenever we go to office, she is always there to. So that day I couldn't have lunch, right? And she just popped in and said that, I mean, I'm done with my lunch, but let's go and I'll just come up with you and have it just to give me company. So I think that's one thing I like about Aditi. I appreciate that about Aditi, right? And in terms of so that's there's this bonding and support, right? And in terms of Shraddha, I think that's one thing I like about Shraddha. There's a lot of things, but I say one thing I like about Shraddha is that anytime she just notices how you're doing or how you're feeling, right? Even today, I think I was mentioning her about something through a call, right? I mean, she called me and then I was mentioning her something and she just immediately picked up that feeling of, it's okay, it's okay. We'll focus on the webinar first. And it's not just one instance. I've noticed this throughout. I've never told her openly because I'm someone who doesn't keep, I just keep things within me. But I think that's something I really appreciate about Shraddha, where she picks up on how you're feeling, tiny, tiny little cues, and is there for you to help you and navigate through it.
Thank you so much, Vidhi. So now you see, Jayashree, that sitting down and talking it out is going to make such an impact. For example, when she shared that this is what I do better,
Mhm.
somewhere down the line, I'm going to do it even better. Because I know that it is reciprocated, because I know that it is seen, it is heard, it is validated. So,
Mhm.
in an appreciation circle with your immediate team, I would suggest start off with your immediate team because the bonding is stronger. And then you can, include other people in that circle as well. Okay. So for a time constraint, we will keep it to this, right? Otherwise, I would have loved to share, and I'm sure that you would have loved to share as well. But this is how the
Mm.
whole thing works. The appreciation circle works.
Right.
Okay. So these are the things that you could practice in your workplace. There are other things that you can practice at home as well, and those are things we will share directly with you. The deck will be shared with you immediately, and we have your email IDs for whoever is interested. We will share it with you. And if after this session you want to talk to any of us for any questions, any follow-ups, and even how to do this with your teams, if you want to help organize something on a team level basis for your own individual corporates, would be happy to do that as well. Okay. So that's about it from our end. It was a short session, and I guess it's Friday. Everybody has
Yes.
live outside of this, but we appreciate the ones who really, really stayed. And
Mm.
any questions from you guys? Any questions at all? Yes, Swapnali, you were saying
No
something.
questions, ma'am, but thank you for the information.
No problem at all. We're always happy to help.
Yeah.
Right? So, of course, if there's anything at all post this, please reach out to your care manager or book a session with us directly from the app, and we'll be here to solve it for you on an individual and on your corporate level as well. Thank you so much for your time, guys.
Thank you so much, guys. It was wonderful having you all in the session.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.